This is a massive update from D.C. The Senate Health Committee just held a high-stakes hearing on the safety of chemical abortion drugs, and the testimony was bone-chilling.
OBGYN Dr. Roger Marshall.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, everybody, to our witnesses. Dr. Verma, do you not have other prostacyclin drugs to treat postpartum hemorrhage like Prostin M? Is that the only drug that's out there that works?
We have a few medications to treat postpartum hemorrhage, and when I am in situations where someone's...
I know what you're saying. I delivered a baby every day for 30 years. I know your situation, but there are other alternatives out there. No one here is trying to take those away. These abortion drugs, Category A drugs are safe, B are probably safe, C. What type of category drug are these prostaglandin drugs that you prescribe?
In Louisiana now, they have been made controlled substances, and I would like to highlight when I'm in a situation with a postpartum hemorrhage, yes, there are other medications.
We'll let you answer that later on someone else's time. I'm sorry, but you would agree with me that these prostaglandin drugs are Category X drugs. The answer is yes. They are Category X drugs. Okay, Dr. Walbenhurst, did I get that right? Okay. I think, like you, delivered a baby every day of my life for 30 years, nearly every day for 30 years. A woman comes in for her first visit, and she tells you when her last menstrual cycle was. It's pretty common for them to be off. In fact, it's very common to be off about a month. Would not be unusual. Would you agree with that?
Yes, Dr. Marshall, and actually I would add to that I recently had a woman come in because she was having some bleeding and abdominal pain, and she was 23 weeks and didn't know it. And that was
very common. We've all had that patient in the ER with abdominal pain 5 minutes apart, and they getting ready to do an appendicitis on her. They call in the OBs, oh my gosh, she's having a baby. I think you would also agree with me, doctor, that the failure rate of these abortion drugs is probably around 5% at less than 10 weeks. But the failure rate of giving it to a 14-week person over the phone, the failure rate is probably 10%. Failure rate meaning it doesn't work, right? Would an ultrasound, not only seeing the patient in person, but having an ultrasound at your helm there impact your decision making? And then you and I don't prescribe these abortion drugs, but taking care of a miscarriage is similar. You and I have taken care of thousands of miscarriages. Would you add any color to that?
Yes, I would say that there would be a substantial change. That's because once you get into the second trimester, the risk of hemorrhage increases dramatically.
Yeah, so my point is, you do this visit over the phone, the young lady thinks she's 8 weeks, and I have so much compassion for these young ladies. They're scared and they need help, and that's why I opened up my practice, regardless of your ability to pay, to say, look, I had more than one patients come into my office that said they'd been to Planned Parenthood and they were being coerced into abortion, and she came to my office and said, is there anything else we can do, doctor? Do I have to have an abortion? And I said, of course, we'll take care of you. We're going to get you hooked up with Catholic Social Services, and we're going to get you a medical card. We're going to do whatever it takes. But my point is this. That same patient calls me from home or just goes to the pharmacy and picks this drug up. They think they're 10 weeks, but they're actually 14 weeks. There's a 10% chance of this drug not working. And the risk factors associated with this X-rated drug, I'm going to have to read them because I didn't realize this. 5% of the babies that go on to deliver that took this drug, 5% of them have a major fetal malformation, limb deformities. So it's like they're missing fingers, they're missing digits. Cranial nerve palsies. Think of like Bell's palsy, you can't open your eyelids, you can't smile. Cranial nerve palsies, cranial facial defects, and of course premature births. Doctor, I'm going to come back to you. Do you think an ultrasound, seeing the patient in person, is beneficial and safe, and not doing so is below the standard of care?
I would agree with that, and I'd also add that ACOG in its committee opinion says that any pregnancy that is not dated by ultrasound is suboptimally dated. Yeah.
Dr. Verma, you take care of ladies with miscarriage, and I'm sorry for your loss as well. It's one of my just worst days is taking care of a woman with the miscarriage. Do you do ultrasounds typically when a person comes to your office for a threatened miscarriage?
I do ultrasounds in a lot of different settings, including when a patient is unsure of their last menstrual period and
but do you
wants an abortion.
I'm sorry, I know you're kind of been coached to go offline here, but do you do an ultrasound on every patient that comes to your office with a threatened miscarriage to figure out how far along they are?
I do ultrasounds, again, in many different situations. I think the misinformation here is that when a patient comes
Dr.
in for
Walpenhurst, do you do
abortion
ultrasounds when patients
care-
come to your office with a threatened miscarriage?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Dr. Verma, last question. Would an ultrasound and seeing the patient in person be helpful to you in making the determination of whether you would prescribe these abortion pills?
When a patient is unsure about their last menstrual period, we do connect them with ultrasound. What's limiting their ability to get that ultrasound is abortion bans and restrictions in their communities.
You don't have an ultrasound in your office?
In situations where patients are getting
Do you have an ultrasound in your office?
because you're talking about telehealth care.
I think the answer is yes.
Care through telehealth. We would
Telehealth,
connect that.
taking care of ectopic pregnancies, threatened miscarriages, prescribing abortion pills is below the standard of care. You're putting women's lives at danger.
Senator,
Chairman Bill Cassidy, who's also a doctor, just called out the FDA for deregulating these pills. He's demanding an immediate safety review because, as he put it, these aren't run-of-the-mill drugs. We heard testimony that 1 in 10 women using these drugs experience serious complications like sepsis or hemorrhaging. They're calling it a dangerous scheme of drug dealing protected by politicians. The committee is now urging HHS Secretary RFK Jr. and the FDA to fulfill their promise and pull back on mail-order access. They want the in-person doctor safeguards restored now. This is a battle between medical safety and political ideology. Click that subscribe button to stay updated on the front line of this fight.